Thank you so much for tuning in to me today. This is the first in a hopefully long series. It's called Cogent's Stumblethrough, where I'll be basically taking you through a, not so much a playthrough, but more of a meander through some of the sort of more notoriously difficult games that we have always a little bit frightened of. Just to prove to everyone that even idiots, like myself, can play games that are notoriously difficult. And so basically what I'll be doing in this series is basically to play through the game at my own pace, because I have completed this game before. I am Cogent Sturm and Drang on Twitch, and you can see all of my videos over there, my live streams, and you can catch me on there. That'd be fantastic. But basically what I'll be doing is going through and just telling you how I managed to beat this game the way that I did. Bit of a disclaimer, I am not perfect at games at all. I love them and I want you to enjoy them as well. I think the Dark Souls series especially is one of the most underappreciated series of games in the entire world, and I think anyone can play it, and I would love for you to join me as I play through and just try and give you a little bit of a leg up when you get started in there. None of what I say is gospel, but we should have a laugh anyway. So yeah, I'll be yakking along as we kind of build this character. So what you tend to find is, especially in Dark Souls Remastered, is that everything seems a little weird, and story is very, very scarce, and I'll go into more detail in that later. But what I'm going to do is, let's call my little guy Cogent. Again, like with everything, oh dear, let's not do that. I said male or female, again, doesn't affect anyone at all. It asks you to choose a class. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking this is what you're going to be playing throughout the entire game. This is not the case. What this does is give you starting items and starting stats. So if you want to be kind of like the standard guy, the warrior is a really good choice. It gives you a very standard, decent armour, a little bit of a shield, and a decent one-handed weapon. If you want to be a super heavy armoured guy, then you have the knight. So it's really what kind of playstyle you want to adapt. And for this game, what I would like to do is actually, I'm going to have a little look through myself. There is a magic system in Dark Souls. I won't be exploring it very much. I'll explain a little bit about it in this series. But for me, I do like rolling around. You can also be deprived, which is someone who doesn't really have anything at all, but they have just a very basic set of stats, and then you can sort of, it's like a blank canvas essentially. But what I'm going to do is probably start with the thief. Actually no, I'm going to start with the standard warrior, because I like my warriors. It will ask you to choose a gift. Some of these things are very peculiar, and I'll explain a little bit about them when we come across them in the game. However, what I tend to do at this point is actually select the item called the Master Key. It basically just gives you a little bit more flexibility in your exploration. When you find a locked door, most of the time the Master Key will open it, which is quite useful. So let's go through. So let's see if we can make him... You can't really customise your character too much in the first Dark Souls. It gets a lot better in the series, as I'm hoping we'll see. And yeah, let's see. I'm going to go for... Let's go for a large guy, shall we? Let's not mess about. There you go. There's obviously all the very strange and esoteric looking people. So it's a little bit covered up by my portrait. I do apologise. But I'm going to go with the Jubilant Katarina. This makes no difference to your character whatsoever. Alright. Let's do... Ooh, sweat back. Let's go wild with him, shall we? And let's like me, go grey. So there we go. And that is all there is to it. As you can see, just in the middle of the screen there is obviously all the items that you start with, but all this will become clear. The thing about this game is that it does not explain anything to you, which is why I wanted to make this series of videos.
In the age of ancients,
I'm sorry, there we are.
the world was unformed, shrouded by fog.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip through this, because if you're playing this yourself as well, please do look at all the cinematics, because they are absolutely amazing. The kind of gist of the story is that there are some people...
Yes, indeed.
I'll skip through this as well. Is basically, you are undead. As you can see, the person I've just created is not looking too well. And when you become undead, you are taken to the Undead Asylum far to the north of this world, and you are basically imprisoned. Not ideal. And for some reason, when you're in your cell for a little while, when you looked up, all the way up, there's a little hatch there. You saw a face appear, and they dropped a key to your cell in. And that's the story. And now it's up to you to explore. So always do have a look at the notes on the floor, because what they do is they tend to give either hints or tips. Although there is a word of warning. Basically, what you'll find is that other players can write on the floor as well. Whilst you're not playing directly with people, you kind of exist together in this world. The story is like there's different timelines, and it's all very, very complicated. But it means that other players can can create messages for you based on a very limited palette, and we'll go through that as well later on. So what it's doing at the moment is just teaching me how to attack. So far, so easy, isn't it? I mean, I'm currently using this controller, so it's an Xbox 360 controller, cabled, because I'm not a millionaire, and I'm playing this on PC. But broadly, your experience with this game will be exactly the same as mine. Bonk and a bonk. So what you'll find is that there are two different types of attack. There's light attack, and there is strong attack. And what they'll do is one's slightly slower but more powerful, and the normal one is obviously a little bit quick and a little bit lighter. So far, so every game ever. See, it's not so bad, is it? It's good. Hello. So I'm pressing the right stick to target this person directly. And that way, again, that means it's just a target lock on your enemy. So rather than having to flail around everywhere and potentially miss and then hit walls and that affects your strike, what you can do is, yeah, lock onto your target, which means that you are constantly aiming towards that point. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll hit them every time, but it does mean you have that. You don't have to worry about constantly turning and using both sticks. So these are vitally important. These are your bonfires. And in the context of the world, basically you are trying to link the flame. What does that mean? No idea. I've played this game quite a lot, and I still don't really know. There are amazing videos online about explaining the lore of this world, but I honestly have no idea. Anyway, so what we're going to do is go through this big door here. Now, this is the first kind of pitfall in Dark Souls. This is what kind of made this series of games so famous. And you're about to see why. So you go, oh, okay, this is pretty good. Walk in, you go, oh, this is a nice door, that's fantastic. Oh my goodness, do not panic. All you gotta do is run out to this door on your left-hand side, and it shuts behind you and traps him in there. Easy peasy. Because what this game wanted to kind of teach people is that not all fights can be won, and conflict can be avoided. So that is the first kind of major kind of hurdle that you have to get over. Is that in that case, blimey. There we go. Always look at corpses as well. What you'll find is that the bodies down there will be glowing, and that usually means that they have an item on them. So what I'm going to do is, so what I've done from there is I've pressed start and gone into change equipment. So I picked up a heater shield, so I'm going to go to my left hand and then pop on my heater shield. Done. And then when I come back out of that menu, the shield is there. Easy. Bonk. There we go. And so how I managed to block with that attack, so he's going to run off, fine by me, is whereas on this controller my attack button is on the right hand side, because that's my right hand, I use the same thing on the left. There you go. Easy. And we'll get into things like parrying and striking and all that kind of stuff with the shields later on. Fantastic, there you go, and a longsword. So again, I'm going to go into my infantry and change to my little longsword, which is a lot better. And we're going to dive into the kind of weapon stats and all that kind of stuff later. But as you can see, it says toggle items, change weapons, and that's on my little D-pad. Great. Fantastic. Oh, hello. So this, that technique there, was called a backstab, because I stabbed him in the back. Basically, if you are clever, and you can avoid attacks properly, you can get behind them and then perform backstab, which does increase damage. And this is something that's very important playing the game, as well as the shield parry, which can be something that can save your bacon quite spectacularly. So we've gotten through this little area here, and what you're going to do, because again you're given no guidance, if you look down, look, that is where your first bonfire is. Fantastic. And that's the door you went in to find the asylum demon, that big fat dude. And I'm just running off to the left here, just to show you something. Now, that is a corpse, and we know that it's got an item on it, because it's got a big glowing mark, which is fine. The thing is, I can't get to it at the moment. And the reason for that is, there are no like climbing mechanics. So you can run, if you hold B, you run. And then if you tap B again, whoop, then you jump. Very, very useful. But it doesn't mean you can climb up anything, so it's quite awkward to get your head around sometimes, but once you kind of settle into the rhythm of the game, it can become so much easier. So what we're going to do, once we get up these stairs, we're going to turn right. And you go, oh goodness, okay, well let's run down these stairs first, and what that's going to do, and this is one of the main aspects of Dark Souls, is that we had to go through a big door, flee a big boss, run through all of these things, get attacked a couple of times, and then we come back to almost the same point. So what we're going to do is now open this door. And that, look, takes us straight back to the bonfire. Fantastic. So finding shortcuts is very, very important. So this game encourages exploration, basically. So where do we go from here? Well, there's a flight of steps up here. I'm going to fall for this instead. Oh my goodness! That's so Dark Souls. So what you'll find is that once you first come up to this area, you'll go, oh my goodness, it starts to roll down. You can just dodge off to the right hand side, and that'll avoid that ball. How do you dodge? It is tap the B button, and you'll be doing this a lot. A lot. And also, if you're wondering why I'm glancing off to the right hand side, that's where I can see myself, so I just need to see if everything's all right. So let's have a look. So that ball has knocked a massive hole in this room. Look, there he is. Who is that? It is none other than the guy who dropped a key down into your cell.
Oh, you.
So what I'm going to do is skip through the dialogue so you can enjoy that yourself.
I wish you, regrettably, but thou.
So what he's talking about is basically his family kind of quest, essentially, is to make a to land of the ancient lord and ring the bell of awakening, and that is your first objective.
Well, now you know. Oh, an Estus flask.
What you do need to do is talk to this guy, because he gives you the Estus flask, and those are your healing potions. And he also gives you the key to the actual way out of this place, which is ideal.
I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
This is not a feel-good classic, this game. Like I said, that guy was talking about harming me after death, and what that means is that if you're undead, you... Ow. There we go. If you're undead, eventually you lose all of your humanity, and eventually go mad. Essentially, you lose your mind, and you become the kind of very mindless, very classic zombie, essentially. So we're going to use that key he gave him to go through. So what you can find here, look, it just gives you a little bit of extra thing. So what that means is any item or any weapon that you have, you can wield it in one hand or two hands. And like with anything, if you wield it in two hands, it does more damage, and it also changes the type of attack. So let's have a look here. So there you go. As you can see, that attack does a lot more damage. Hello. See, in a lot of things like this, I mean, combat really is a case of learning how your enemy attacks. Goodness, I did it the first time out. So that is what is called a parry, and parrying is vital, and I'll explain why in a little while, probably in a future video. But the act of parrying, is where the light attack button on the left blocks the heavy attack, and that is the parry, and timing is very, very important. and we'll explain where good places to practice that are, because it is always a good idea. So let's have a look. So it does actually say, there you go, critical hits. So that is your backstab. So let's see if we can provoke that now. Oh, nope, not at all it seems. There we go. We're just going to walk on the back. There we go. If you can get directly behind them and then press the right button, the right light sacker button, it will perform a backstab. So there you go. We're going to let him heal up because enemies do heal as well. There you go. Just going to dodge out the way of his blow there. Walk up behind him, do a light attack. And whilst it can look quite easy, do bear in mind that it does take a little bit of practice. The angles do need to be quite precise, and that really just comes with practice. And it is worth sticking around kind of the easier areas a little bit, just to perfect those kind of techniques a little bit, because it will help you later on. So what you'll find a lot of the time as well is these fog doors. And generally it means something bad. Sometimes it just leads to a new area, which is great. In this case it's going to lead to a boss fight. So when you get to this point, what I recommend is that whatever weapon you have, let's go two-handed and traverse that white line. So what we're going to do is something called Plunging Attack. It's our guy again. So what we're going to do is we're going to target him by looking down, and I'm going to leap off and attack. Oh my goodness, I kept it going for too long. So what you can do is, if you're quicker than me, I don't know, see this is it, I'm learning more stuff about this game all the time. So what we're going to try and do is, using what we learned in the little tutorial, because now we've got better items, so we're going to practice our dodging, and the important thing to do is to relax. And I know it sounds really sort of counterproductive, but what we want to try and do on this boss is time. If you can look where his swings are, and you can see him kind of wind up and then strike, and then he obviously hits you in the face if you're very good, like me. But being hit isn't the end of the world. Okay? We're just going to try and basically just practice our dodging a little bit. Obviously this guy's a very big dude. We want to be very careful about getting hit by him. And it might seem obvious, but obviously trying to parry or backstab something this big doesn't really work too well. So what we're going to try and do, there you go, let's see, and you'll learn to recognise kind of attack patterns. So he's going to rise up there, so I wasn't quick enough to get out of the way, but again, it's not the end of the world at all. But as you can see, I'm going to just try and get around behind him. There we go. And so just by keeping nice and relaxed, while something that I didn't expect was going to happen, so when I was going to do that plunging attack on top of him, by leaping off that ledge, and do loads and loads of damage to him, what he did do is fly up and get me. And that does happen. You will come across things you don't expect. And that's okay, that's fine. What this game wants you to learn, and it is super frustrating at first, I promise you it will be a little bit frustrating at first, but it's so worth it, is that this game doesn't reward you being perfect. It rewards you for persistence and practice. But I said that wasn't too bad, I don't think. I said, you know, and everyone messes up. Alright, everyone's going to do badly. You might be in the wrong frame of mind to play this game. And that's okay. Remember, games are supposed to be fun. If it starts to become really stressful and it's impacting your mental health, then take a break. Alright, we play games to have fun. And I'm doing these videos because this game is incredible and I want people to enjoy it. So,
only in the ancient
I have to watch this bit because it's
legends
very
it is
cool.
stated that one day an undead shall be chosen.
How cool is that? Amazing. So, yeah, once you've used the Big Pilgrim's Key to unlock the main gates after you've killed the Asylum Demon, you basically run to that ledge and you get picked up by a giant crow, obviously. It's not that obvious. I mean, Forget about it. Now. So what we're going to do now is now we've arrived. This is kind of your hub. This is where, like in an MMO, that you might go back to town to. This is the kind of main thing. The main cool guy that you want. So, I'm going to go through a couple of landmarks with you. So it says in Laundran, you know, the rest of the bonfire to level up. Great. Laundran is the filing shrine, so don't be too confused by that. And now we're going to talk a little bit about humanity. Not the kind of, you know, the high concept of, oh, what's it like to be a man or a woman in this world, but more like a an item that we can use. So, you might have noticed in the top left-hand corner of your screen is your health and stamina. So, before I mention, your health obviously does increase when you level up. You can increase that directly, or just by getting other abilities, increases your hit points by a little bit. The green bar is your stamina, so every time you do something, it starts to go down a little. And then it takes a little while to charge back up. So dodging will also do the same. So again, a lot of it is also managing your stamina. The weirdest thing, and the thing that is never really explained to you, is those 2 zeros in the corner. We'll talk to this really happy looking guy in a second. But what that is your level of humanity. Now, bear with me on this one. I'm just going to explain how it works and a little bit about the kind of lore around it. But basically, you absorb humanity to restore your spirit. So, what we're going to do is go down to our humanity. So what I've done there is I've pressed start and I've gone to browse and use items, and that is all your items there. And what I'm going to do is click on humanity, so press A, and then I'm going to use item. And I'm just going to use the 1 at the moment. Bonk! Now that double zero is now turned to 0, 1. And that means I've got 1 humanity to spend. This will make sense, I promise. So because at the moment all that's greyed out, it means I'm hollow, and you can see it in my face. I said all the eyes are sunken, it's all very creepy, and in the game as well. And what you do is you go down to reverse hollowing. And what that'll do, that will spend that humanity. Well, what does that mean? Now the 2 zeros are all lit up. Well, firstly, it means I'm back, baby, and I look fantastic. Because I'm a human again, you see. But what that means is that you can now use summons. Now, this is odd, okay? When you get to certain bosses, and sometimes just in the world, you will come across markings on the floor, much like the stats or the hints and tips that we've talked about before. So like these ones down here, but they'll be all like really weird, like 5 runes essentially. And what you can do is summon either other players to your world, either for them to help you or to fight them. Or you come across like AI summons essentially. So very, very interesting. So what we're going to do is level up a little bit now. So I'm going to sit back down at the bonfire. I'm going to level up. And those souls, that 2,348 that you saw in the bottom right hand corner, is what we're going to use now to level up. Because this is basically your currency. Everyone, all the shops that you come across, they use souls as their kind of dollars and cents or pounds and pence and all that kind of stuff. So I like my strength. I like being a big strong lad and using all of the really cool big items. And what I'm going to be doing is, so I'll run through the stats for you at the moment. So vitality is basically your hit point total. So if I just press right on my D-pad, look, you'll see HP in the middle column go up, and also my defences go up a little bit. My attunement is not something I'm going to worry about at the moment, but what that means if you're using a sorcerer character, or a, excuse me, I've just had breakfast, you know. What that means is that it's how many spells that you can have at any given time. So at the moment, if you look on the right hand side of the screen under attunement slots, as you can see, look, every 2 points in attunement at this point will give me an attunement slot, which allows me to have a spell. Endurance is one of the things that I want to be really investing in at the moment, because that increases my equipment load. And like in real life, if you wear really, really heavy armour, it exhausts you. It makes you move more slowly. It knackers you out. You become really sweaty and horrible. And the same thing kind of happens here. And what increasing your equipment load does, it just makes you better able to wield heavier weapons and also wear heavier armour and still be quite mobile. So that is very, very handy. Strength is, as you might expect, it's just how much damage you do with a melee attack with certain weapons. And also it allows you to wield heavier weapons. Dexterity is the same kind of thing, but it's more for fast items like daggers and short swords, rapiers and spears. And each item will also have requirements, like you need a minimum amount of strength or dexterity or faith or attunement to wield certain things. Resistance is basically your physical defences as well as your poison resistance. And we'll get to that, how that's important in a bit. Intelligence is how much damage you do and how powerful spells you can have if you're a sorcerer or a pyromancer. And faith is for casting miracles, which is another type of magic. So we're not going to really worry about attunement, intelligence and faith in this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop one in strength and I'm going to pop one in endurance at the moment. Because endurance also increases my stamina, which means I can roll around more, I can do more attacks at once. There we go. And so I've just spent those. So what I've done is just pressed A and it says spend so many souls to level up. And you go, yes, that'd be great. And there we are, I'm just a little bit stronger. So, there's a couple of things you can do here.
Well, what do we have
He's
here?
very sad anyway.
Let me guess. Fate of the... But there's no salvation.
Yep.
Well,
So what he's saying to you is basically give up all hope. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the boost, that's awesome. But he's also saying that guy that you met in the Undead Asylum, who went, here, have this Estus flask, he's also saying, yeah, he was wrong. There's not one Bell of Awakening, but there's two. And you go, oh damn. But notice you're not told where to go at all. So there's a couple of pitfalls that some people fall into. So what we're going to do is just go through a couple of landmarks here. So I'm just going to run up these stairs. So as you appear in this area, because you land here, don't you? We're going to turn right. This is the place you shouldn't go. Okay? Unless you're feeling pretty confident with your dodges. So I'm going to run up here. There we go. And there's a little pool of water. It's not scary. Don't worry. Just walk through that one. Now, if you're feeling cunning and you're feeling like pushing your luck, you can get some quite cool items down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to try that. All right. I can't guarantee success, but as you can see, just down there and just off in the distance, you can see little glowing things. But you can also see piles of bones. And I think you know where this is going. So what I'm going to try and do is, imagine like in World of Warcraft or any other sort of MMO that you care to mention, is that you're walking into a high level area. This is exactly what we're doing. So, I am going to try and move as fast as I can. So I'm going to hold B to sprint, and I'm going to try and get all of these items, because they'll give us a nice boost to get going on the actual proper part of the game. So, pick up, there we go, and we are just going to run. We're going to pick our way through these things. We're going to roll and try and escape getting hit by these guys, because they are very powerful at the moment. Don't worry, you'll come back and... There are occasions where you might get stuck. Like now, for example. I'm going to try and do is going to break past him. I'm going to try and break past him. There we go. Oh no, look at that! As you can see, very, very deadly. But this is a really good opportunity to talk about death and how that affects you. So, when you die, you go back to the last bonfire you rested at. So that is, to me, that's the Firelink Shrine. And you know we spent that humanity to get our humanity back? Oh no! We're hollow again. And that means it doesn't make any difference in terms of your gameplay. It just means that you can't use any summons. Which, if you don't use summons, is not really a problem. What you have to do, you can see where this is going as well, is run back. Because obviously, as you can see on the bottom right hand corner, all of my souls are gone. Good heavens. So, but the good news is, any items you pick up are kept. Yeah? So it's not a complete wash. So what we're going to do now we've got that item down there, and we've got that item up there, we are going to cheese it again. Do not be afraid of death in this game. So we're going to sprint down here, sprint down here, sprint down here, and hope that we can get in and out. I'm going to pick that up. That green kind of puddle is all your souls. Oh, dearie me. I'm going to run, 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 run. And good lord, we are sprinting and sprinting and sprinting. So I'm going to get that Zweihander as well, which is excellent. Oh my word. As you can appreciate, things start to get a little bit deadly. There's some binoculars. We'll talk a little bit about why they're cool in a bit. Just keep rolling. When in doubt, try and roll out of combat. Don't panic. I'm going to quickly have a quick potion by pressing X. There you go, and that tops up my health. And I'm going to run up this hill here. I'm going to steal that wing spear. Fantastic. Oh my goodness, there's a giant. Right, we're going to run up there. Down these stairs. Pick up that. So this is... Oh my word. So yeah, and we're going to sprint back the way we came. Alright, back up those stairs. Just keep running. Do not stop. Alright, we're going to get down here. I'm going to leap. Whee! Into that water. We're not safe just yet, because those skeletons are still chasing us. But we're going to run back through this arch, back to the fire. We're going to get up to there, and we're going to sit down. And that kind of grey, brownish mist is basically telling you that the world has reset, essentially. Every time you rest at a bonfire, the world resets, and that is a very important thing to remember. I do apologise, so my cat is scratching at the door. Susie! He's a little bugger. He's alright. But there we go. We are now safe and sound. And our efforts mean that we've actually got these things. So what you'll find a lot is on top of getting souls, which is that 883 for killing enemies, you also, when you go into your browse and use items section, oh, there we go, it's gone, there we are, is you'll also find these, and these don't leave you after you die, but you can use them, so we're going to use a couple of them now, and down the bottom right. So they are like, essentially, just like wallets full of souls for you that you can keep on you, and then spend when you're safer, and I'm going to use that to level up a little bit. So let's have a look. What I want to do now is probably get some more hit points, so I'm going to go for some vitality this time. And it says here, look, wreck souls and souls, so it means I can afford to level up again. So let's do that. Let's do some more endurance. I like more endurance. Because we want to be wielding the cool weapons at the end of the game, you see. Right. But again, if you're not feeling confident enough to do that little section, I totally understand, and that's absolutely fine. You will not be disadvantaged for doing that. What it does also gives you some extra options as well. So it gives you a few extra items that you might want to use. And also I need to be very, very strong to use the Zweihander, which, funny fact, is German for two-hander. Hey, Susie! This is our little terror. Look, hang on. Say hello, Zeus! There he is! Oh, my little bugger! He's a very sweet boy, and he'll be interrupting our videos every now and then. Because if you have a lovely pet, always make time for them. Even when you're playing games. Now, but once we've got all that out of the way, there's nothing that I really particularly want at the moment, or anything that I can use, but those big souls were really, really handy. So here we go. Instead of running towards the kind of graveyard, what we're going to do is find this hill. So if you were just at that bonfire, you're going to turn around and head up these stairs. Zeus has now just walked in front of my monitor. He is now looking for toys. What he does like is a pencil. What we got? What we got? What we got? Watch out! There we go. And he's so lovely. Right, these guys are a little bit more manageable, so what we're going to do, if you're not feeling confident about parrying, don't worry. What you can do is just block. As you can see, that works. And also what I want to try and get used to is learning when things attack and learning to roll out of the way. Okay? Because what you'll find is when you dodge, you are actually invincible, just for a split second. But as you can see, look, it's not too bad. I said you just move your stick in the direction you want to go, and then press, and then tap B. Look, go. Maybe if you're feeling cool, you might want to try and practice your backstabs as well. As you can see, it requires quite a precise angle. There we go. And this is what I want to demystify about Dark Souls. Yes, it is difficult, and it does require a lot of practice, but everything is infinitely manageable. Well, I'm not going to go there just yet, because we've got this young man up here. So I'm going to just dodge over that. There we go. Easy peasy. And we're going to move out of his way. Use a power attack. Oh dear. In fact, let's go two-handed for this one. There we go. See, even the enemies dodge as well, so that's something to bear in mind. So there we go. Lost a little bit of health, but that's okay. So I'm going to run back down this slope. And... ooh, hello. There we go. Sometimes enemies drop items as well. There we go. There. I mean, a lot of these things aren't very good. Oh, and sometimes the connections to Dark Souls servers do get lost, and you do have to restart. Don't worry. It's absolutely fine. It doesn't. You don't lose any progress because you are technically always online. And I'll explain why in a little bit. It does mean every now and then that your game will just go, no, we have to go back to the menu. As you can see, everything is sort of the same, apart from this chap who's really stretching out that groin. Fair play to him. So there you go. I mean, we can see these starting enemies especially is that you don't really need to dodge as well if you're feeling confident. It's just trying to get out of their weapon range. So I don't recommend dodging backwards. I was trying to recommend dodging left or right. Because the issue with dodging backwards, and you may have noticed this... oh, there's another one. Oh, another longsword, thank you. Is that when you're locked on, so... imagine I've locked on to someone. Oh my god, oh, I'm locked on, it's great, it's great, it's great. And I'm rolling backwards and backwards and backwards and backwards. Oh! And you fall off a cliff. And I have done this so many times. Because, unsurprisingly, falling off a cliff kills you instantly. Which is not ideal. Now, I'm going to show you a little... not so much a secret, but again, this game encourages exploration. So remember we talked about very briefly about sprinting and jumping. So I'm going to hold B and then tap B again. Whee! Oh my goodness! And almost flung myself into the void. So as you can see, look, off in the distance, there's a little glowy thing. But Cogent, how do you get there? Well, hey. It's cool, don't worry about it. Oh, also, if you're feeling cool, you can reenact the scene in The Lion King. Scar, brother, help me! Long live the king! No! Despite the fact Simba was literally in the scene before singing, I just can't wait to be king. Anyway, what we're going to try and do is a little bit of gymnastics. So, as you can see, bit of a gap. And again, if you're not feeling confident, don't worry, you practice a bit and come back later. So what we're going to try and do is going to run up to it, and then tap B, and then roll into this little area here. Fantastic. I'm going to very carefully edge our way around here. There we go. And we're going to look at this. It's a ring of sacrifice, Cogent. What on earth is that? Well, there are some times in the game where you are fighting a particularly heinous boss, or you are going through a really dangerous area, and you keep dying, and you don't want to lose any of the souls that you've gathered during the time. So what we could do now, I'm not going to just yet, because there are times and places for this thing, but it says lose nothing on death but ring breaks. So what it means, if you're wearing it when you die, all of your souls are kept with you, and you go back to the bonfire, you last rest of that. But it does mean that that ring is destroyed. Sometimes enemies get caught on you, and it's quite funny. Oh, goodness. I forgot he was even here. I was too busy chatting. There we go. A little bit more. Not so bad. So, because we started off as the kind of fighter, it means that we've got quite a good set of like light armour. So you might find a lot of it isn't quite as good. All of these things might mean nothing to you, and I totally understand. I'm with you 100%. So what we're going to do is going to dive into that a little bit. So, what you have there is basically your very basic stats for what you for what this stuff does. And if you press X, it changes the display and it makes it much easier for you to tell what you actually want. So, as we can see, because all of this is red, it's actually worse for us and is also a little bit heavier. You know we talked about equipment load, so I'm going to press Y. As you can see, my equipment load, third one down on the right hand side, is 22.1 out of 54. Now, this is a bit bonkers and it does involve math, and I do apologise. What are you kind of aiming for? And this is something that... Oh, hello Zeus. Hello. Hello. Are you okay? Do you want to learn about some Dark Souls? He's been watching me play Dark. He's probably better than I am, to be fair. But as you can see, there's a stat there called Poise, which is my armour at the moment has none, and that has 8. And what does that mean? That means that armour makes me less likely to stumble when I'm hit. So if you remembered when I was attacked before, is that I kind of staggered back and it kind of interrupted my attack. If you increase your poise, and that is through wearing heavy armour, it means that when you get hit, you still take the damage. Hello. You going for a climb? Oh dear. I wouldn't recommend it, my dude. No! What are you doing? Come on. He's decided to become adventurous all of a sudden. Yep. No. Bear with me 1 second, everyone. Come on. Come on, lovely boy. Come on, you have a big cuddle. Yeah. Anyway. He's full of single-minded purpose, this cat. There we go. Do you want to go and explore somewhere else, Molly? Hey? Anyway. Anyhoozle. So yes, wearing heavy armour decreases your... So what I'm going to do is get attacked by this thing, look. As I staggered back there, and you saw a meter start to rise, and we'll talk about that in a second. But increasing your poise prevents that stagger, essentially, which makes you able to attack more smoothly, which is very, very handy. That meter you saw rise is that certain enemies put certain effects on you. And so when that rat hit me, that little black teardrop was poison. Get off me, rat. Very, very attached, very clingy. And what that does is once it reaches a certain point, big writing will go poisoned, and then your health will just start to decline. And at the moment, because we're quite low level, it's deadly. So when you encounter enemies like that, it's very important that you try and avoid the things. Ah. Oh, hello. But Cogent, you said if you're hollow, you can do summons. You're absolutely right. Apart from... but it's gone. Where is it? So these things I'm not entirely sure about. They seem to be some part of like a summon grave lord kind of thing. And it seems like someone is elected to be someone that everyone like warps into the world and tries to kill. So we'll talk about invasions in a little bit. But if you can just follow along to where I'm going. As you can see, there's a couple of things. So I'm just doing backstabs only because it's a good thing to practice and it does a lot more damage. So yeah, so basically what you'll find is that because of the online nature of this, I mean obviously I'm now in offline mode because the game kicked me out of the servers, which is fine. Is that when you're running around having a jolly good time, all of a sudden a big box at the bottom will appear with a name has invaded your world. And you go, oh dear, that means another player has used an item to enter your world and is there to kill you. Which is quite spooky, and it can be quite stressful. But remember, this is a game. So again, it is frustrating, but it's very important that we enjoy our games. I really forgot about that. So yeah, there's dragons in this as well. So hopefully you've been following sort of where I've been going with this. There we go. See what we can do as well. Just give them a little poke every now and then with your power attack on the long sword. It's quite good because it's just a straight thrust. Unless you use the two-handed, which is a swipe. See? You see how using to use your weapons in different ways helps in certain situations. So yeah, sorry, I was getting back to using backstabs, especially in like kind of mass combat, is very, very important. And the reason for that is because whilst that animation plays, you're invincible, which is really, really useful. So I've come out of that little door, had a little explore around. I'm going to leave that place there with those two spear guys for a second. But what I am going to do is head up these stairs. Actually, no, before I do that, you can tell this is a stumble along, can't you? I'm going to head in here. Nothing in here, Cogent, I know. But if you come onto the balcony, oh my god! There's a wooden shield. So depending on your choice of class, you might not get a shield when you start. That's absolutely fine. So we found a couple of shields now. We can see that's pretty good. It's a bit lighter, but the damage reduction is a little bit lower. So the physical damage reduction is lower, as you can see. So what that means is 100% physical means that when I'm blocking, any physical damage done to me is reduced completely, which is really, really handy. The wooden shield has slightly less, but it does have other things, so it is useful in different situations. But up here, off to our left-hand side, it's another bonfire. Fantastic. Ooh, who are you? And what you'll find is these kind of spirits, so other people playing will appear as ghosts to you as you're playing through. You can't interact with them unless you use something called a cracked red eye orb, or cracked red blue orb, but again, those are things I haven't really explored. But you can just see that there are other people in the world fighting the same things as you. So I can level up again. I'm going to up my strength a little bit again. So I like strength. And sometimes it is quite good as well when you find a bonfire. If you've got loads and loads of souls, and you think, I'm not sure about this new area, it is worth spending your souls, because that means that you've already spent them, so there's less that you can lose. Oh, hello. As you can see, the world has reset. So I killed these guys a second ago. So after I've done that, ooh, like crossbow, thank you. Is what we're going to do is head back down these stairs. Avoid this guy, and I'm actually going to chop him up as well. Whoa! A little bit unexpected. As you can see, that he's blocking, which means it did a little less damage. But then after a certain amount of attacks, he staggered backwards, and what that means is that I've overcome his poise. So it's very difficult with these guys. They've got big shields and big poise. So look, if I try to attack one of them now, look, I will bounce off it. Which is bad news for me. But yeah, let's try and work on that backstab. Things like spears tend not to be swung around in a big arc. They are always kind of jabbed at you. So if you see someone with a spear, they've got a very narrow attack field, basically. So just walk down here for a second. Like any horror film. Oh my goodness! Stabberoonie. There we go. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So I'm going to head through here. So basically what I wanted to show you very, very briefly is this young man here. He's a little shop. But at the moment I haven't got enough souls for what I want to buy, so what I'm going to do is try and get 1,000 souls, which is quite a lot to be fair. But we're going to come back to him. There's a reason for that. What I'm going to do is just walk up here briefly. Right, these things might seem quite basic. They don't do a lot of damage, but they have a very bad habit of overwhelming you. What you saw there was a leap attack, which I basically did by accident there. What you can do is there are certain attacks you can do that differ slightly from a regular attack. So if you stood still, do your light attack, and your heavy attack, that's great. If you press forward and your light attack, that is called your guard break. And so if someone is constantly holding a shield up to your face, give it one of them. That tends to break that that block, which is very, very handy. If you do the same, if you press forward in your heavy attack, you kind of leap forward with a long sword and then sort of stab downward, which Which again, if you get, you will become better than me, because goodness knows. So look at that, we're up on that roof and you think, oh, nothing else? Well, yes, there is a little bit something else. So if you remember that little area before, I'm going to take a run and jump. Whee! And pop into here. As you can see, this is one of the player tips. Sometimes they are just silly little things like, I did it! Or things that can be quite childish. But sometimes they'll give you facts and handy tips, and some of them are really useful. Other times they're just lies, unfortunately. So yeah, you can come and get a standard crossbow. You might find one on an enemy, but if you haven't, you can come up to this little area and you'll be laughing. There we go, and what we're going to do is get back. It's just pop down here. Oh yes, I forgot that the area reset. Oof. So we're going to kill these guys anyway, because we want some souls. So I'm going to try that guard break on him. If he ends up blocking again... Ow. He's not going to, is he? Okay, we'll just stab him. That's fine. Remember, showing off absolutely does not work in this game. I promise you. Actually, we're going to have a quick potion. I'm going to start flying around, because what you can find as well is that you can provoke certain behaviour. So there we go. There we go. Get him stabbed off. How do I get down there? Let's have a look. There we go. Do you see where we are when we first came into this area? There's that big pile of barrels. As you can see, look, the player has very kindly left a scroll on the floor which says, "Oh, there's a shortcut. Fantastic." And there's a man who looks very... Where did he come from? Well, there we go, you see. So let's pop down here and see what we have here. Ooh, lovely. I'll take it. There we go. And it's just only just trying to pick your way down. Let's see where we go. So yeah, we're going to pop down here. Lovely. As you can see, these guys turn up everywhere. Oh, he's still alive. Okay. Also, it's important to recognise how much damage you're doing. Because sometimes... I'm just going to have a look around here, actually, because I can't actually remember doing this. What's up here? Not very much. Okay. There's a cool little shortcut. I'll have a little look here as well. Ah, there we go. Thank you very much. See, as you can see, if you're careful, if you look... okay. So if you look carefully, there are little environmental cues as to where you might be able to go to get extra items. Let's see what's going on in here. My goodness. Let's have a look. Let's pop out to here. Oh, guys. Really? Can I get him at the moment? Yes, there you go. Nice. There we go. So you can kill enemies before they've technically spawned in. Oh. See, that's what I didn't do. I didn't target properly. Ah. Rubbish is worthless, you know. As you do, I suppose. But it is worth a soul when you can find someone to sell to. But it's always worth picking up everything you find, just in case it is something of cool and exciting. Humanity, fantastic. And sometimes you will find that you'll just get random souls. And what that is that somewhere else in this area, something has accidentally killed itself. Because whilst the enemies are kind of fiendish and a little bit cunning, sometimes they'll just wander off a ledge and kill themselves, which is funny more than anything else. Anyway, let's pop down here. Let's go back to our shop. And what I'm going to do is... let's have a chat to him.
Now, you seem to have your wits about you. Hmm?
He's got a great voice. It's a very From Software thing where everyone says something fairly normal and then laughs like they're insane. But no, what I'm going to do, there's something specific that I want to buy off this guy, and that is the residence key. To start with. Because...
Thank you kindly.
yeah, that's okay. And this unlocks a door which gives you a fairly decent item. But basically you can spend 1,000 souls on that and get something that's worth twice that. So it is worth investing. So once I've done all that, so what I'm going to do, so we did quite a bit there. I'm going to pop back and have it give it a rest. There we go. And in fact, what we're going to do is going to leave that there until the next episode. So what we've done today is that we talked about character creation, a little bit about the basic movement and attacks, and I'll be explaining those as we go through the game anyway. We explained all the stats, a little bit about poise and armour wearing, and we've done kind of the first leg of our journey into Dark Souls. And next episode we're going to carry on straight from where we left off, and we are going to try and push forward into new and exciting zones, and I'm going to try and show you some more secrets. Again, if you liked what you saw, please do consider giving me a little subscribe or a little thumbs up. It really does help me. And you can see some more content. These new videos will be coming up every day because I love this game so much. And yeah, if you want to see me live stream and you want to interact directly with the stream, then please do come onto Twitch. My username is Cogent Sturmendrang. The description's in below this video. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Remember, stay hydrated and play games to have fun, alright? And we'll catch you soon. See you later.